Golden State Media Concepts SciFi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the backdoors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay back for another episode of the GSMC Sci-Fi Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So there's some really cool stuff to talk about this episode, so let's just jump right on into it. So Toy Story was kind of the series that, started the partnership with, Disney and Pixar, and in a way kind of saved Disney. Disney wasn't doing too well at the time. They were doing animated films, but people were kind of over just regular cell animation. It wasn't something they were really excited about anymore, or that they wanted to watch much anymore. When, DreamWorks came out with Shrek, it kind of changed the game of family films and animation really for forever, really. It's just the way it went, and Disney was in trouble. They're like, we need help. We need something to, kind of get us back on top. And they were able to work out a deal with Pixar, and Toy Story came out, and, it really kind of saved them. They've done a total of 3 movies. I have seen all 3 of the movies, and I have to say, every one is better than the film before it. It really is. They've actually done a number of shorts. I recently saw, when I got a Pixar, short films collection, volume 3, Party Source Rex, which I'd never seen before, which is a cool little short film they did. They've done the toys that Time Forgot. They did Toy Story of Terror, I think is what it's called. They also did Small Fry, which I've seen before, and they did another one where Ken and Barbie are going to Malibu vacation, they didn't get to, so, the people, the toys in, I want to say her name is Erica, don't quote me on that, kind of put a little vacation on for them. So there's been, Toy Story is very popular. There's been a number of Toy Story shorts and films over the years, and honestly, how Toy Story 3 ended, I think it was totally open for a sequel. It made sense. Like, hey, if you really wanted to, you could do a sequel here. You don't have to do a sequel. I don't know if fans are necessarily begging for a sequel, but you can do a sequel. Well, of course, since then, Disney's like, hey, we're doing a sequel. We're doing a Toy Story 4. It's happening. And this last week, we got not 1, but 2 Toy Story 4 teasers. So the first one is we see all the familiar toys together again in a circle. They're having fun. They're just spinning around. They're all smiling. They're enjoying, what's going on. And then toward the end of this teaser, we see this strange little spork that has, like felt hands, like straw, like finger, those like little, like straws of yarn arms and hands. And little, googly eyes and weird little mouth. And we hear him go, I don't belong here. And he runs away and then, breaks away from it. All the other toys fall and, and it's a funny little teaser here where we get to meet a new character that, hasn't been in, of course, any of the previous films. And we just get to, see how he kind of, feels about being a part of the toys. Cause I don't know if he really sees himself as a toy. So, we get that cool little teaser, and it's a very big teaser in every sense of the word. It's just what it is. And then a bit later this week, we got a second teaser of 2 toys voiced by Key and Peele. I hope I said that right. Yeah. Where they're both like carnival toys, and they're kind of talking about the characters of, from Toy Story. And then toward the end, the characters of Toy Story show up, and because they're saying their lines wrong, and they correct them. And really, in a nutshell, these both are fun, funny little teasers that give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the story. But that's all they are. They're teasers. They don't really tell you anything about the story itself at all. You don't really know what's going on, what's the plot, although I believe Tim Allen and Tom Hanks have said, not in gargantuan terms of what the ending is, but they have both said online that the ending is a really, tug your heartstrings, really emotional ending. And for those who saw Toy Story 3, you're like, that was a pretty emotional ending too. I mean, that part where they're all in the incinerator, even though I know better, I was still like, I kind of hope they don't all burn them in the incinerator though. That would kind of be messed up. I wouldn't really be able to take that. My, heartstrings are getting tugged on a little bit. I'm like, Pixar, Disney, please don't do that. That's not the way to end this series. And luckily, it's not the way they ended it, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, and supposedly from what I've heard so far, this is going to be a love story where, and mind you, I don't know if this is official, but I swear I heard this somewhere, that the gist of this film is Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, wants to try to find Bo Peep. Now, of course, in Toy Story 3, we saw that, Bo Peep wasn't there. And I think what happened was somewhere along the lines, the toys were slowly being either donated to places or given away or sold or something like that. And I think Bo Peep was one of the toys that happened to. So I think that's what the plot of this film is. Mind you, I'm not 100% sure about that. That we haven't seen a trailer yet that shows, hey, that's what's happening. That's the plot, ta-da. No, that's not what's happening. That's just not the way it is. But I will say, these teasers were both fun. It was fun to see the characters again. It was fun to see the characters interacting with each other again. It was kind of cool to meet some of these new characters. They really were. Like, the character that Key and Peele, voiced, I thought was really kind of cool. They were fun. It was a really fun scene, It was funny to see them almost poking fun at the characters themselves. And then the sport character in the first one, like I said, he's just kind of a wacky little funny character who, isn't even sure if he belongs. So that, it was kind of nice to get to meet a few new characters this way. I really thought it was kind of cool how they did that. But I am kind of curious to see more. I do. I'd like to see an actual trailers film. Although, like I said, at least the Toy Story things I've seen, I haven't hated any of them yet. I really haven't. I've been blown away by all the short films, by the, feature films. Thankfully, because at one time, there was a rumor of Toy Story 2 and 3 being direct-to-videos, which luckily that didn't happen, because let's face it, they would not have been the same films. They would not have been as good of films. They would not have been as strong of films. They just wouldn't have. That's the truth. So, thankfully, that didn't happen. We got the films we got, not the films we could have gotten. And yeah, it's just, I think it's a really, like I said, it's kind of the films that kind of started the Disney-Pixar partnership, and they've been really strong films. And, these are films that, Disney, Pixar usually really take their time on. They don't rush these films. They, make sure to fine-tune them and, and make sure they're good. And I have faith in this film. Even though I haven't seen much yet, or nor has much been confirmed about it yet, I have faith in this film, and I'm excited for this film. Even though I'm not usually much of a fan of teasers, I liked these teasers. I did. I'm like, you know what? They were fun, they were silly, they were exciting, and they did get me a little pumped for this film. I'm like, you know what? Because like I said, like this was not a film where I was like, man, why are they doing this? I'm like, no, it totally makes sense to do this. It really does. It's totally possible to do this. So I don't think it's a bad idea to do this. I really don't. And like I said, Pixar has done a pretty good job with Toy Story, everything they've done. They really have. Even Partysaurus Rex, as silly as it was, and as short as it was a really fun short. It was a really funny short. It was very colorful, great animation. We got to meet a lot of brand new characters. We got to see a new side of Rex, which, by the way, if you haven't seen Partysaurus Rex, check it out. I highly recommend it. Actually, to go one step further, that Pixar short films collection is actually out now. It came out on the 13th, so you could just buy that and see that, and a bunch of other really cool Pixar shorts in the process. So, yeah, I would highly recommend checking that out. And as the holidays come closer, I believe they're going to be showing again on either ABC or Disney Channel the Toys That Time Forgot. That one's going to be releasing again, and they're also going to be releasing Olaf's Frozen Adventure again, so keep an eye out for both of those. So, yeah, this is a really cool little teaser, and although I'd love to see an actual trailer sooner than later, I think they were really fun. And this film to my knowledge, comes out summer 2019. I'm not sure if it has a set-in-stone release date yet. If it does, I want to say it's around June, but don't quote me on that. So we're going to take ourselves our first short little break, and we'll be back in a few moments with more sci-fi news.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Hello, everybody. This is Jay, back with more sci-fi news. So, I want to say I brought this show up a little bit before, like about the trailer. Yeah, I did. I know I did. About the trailer, when it got released at a New York Comic Con, the news for the show had come to me a few months before that. And, I had watched all the Kung Fu Panda movies. I actually really like all the Kung Fu Panda movies. I think Kung Fu Panda 3 was an amazing movie. It had a great story, great villain, great cast, great conclusion of the story, and again, as I've said before, I just haven't had a chance to watch Levels of Awesomeness. I haven't, I just didn't get a chance to watch it. I don't know much about the show, but I guess it's the continuing adventures of Po. And anyways, so I decided, since it is now on Amazon Prime, to bring, I was able to watch this, series finally of Kung Fu Panda, Paws of Destiny. So this is a show where, we get to see Po is back in Panda Village visiting. I don't know if he's with the Furious Five anymore because he's actually a Dragon Master now. This happened in Kung Fu Panda 3. And how this show starts is with 4 young pandas in Panda Village, who are kind of troublemakers, kind of like, outcasts of the village. They're getting ready for this peach festival. They end up knocking over this giant wooden peach, and in the process of doing that, they end up, knocking, falling, breaking through this mountain, falling at the bottom of this mountain, and finding this hidden little cave of these kung fu masters called the Four Constellations. And what happens is they get chosen to wield the powers of these kung fu masters. So they become, in a manner of speaking, the new Four Constellations. They're unsure of what their powers are or how to control them at first. And right away, there is a, evil foe who wants to get a hold of them for his own evil purposes. And in the first episode, we see, where their powers kind of come to light a little bit. And Po at first, doesn't want to train them. He's like, what, I just don't think I want to do it. It just seems like these are not students for me. And at one point, he gets knocked out and he sees Master Oogway. And Oogway pretty much tells him, hey, it's your destiny to train these students. You have to do it. If you don't do it, there's going to be chaos. And he goes, all right, fine, I'll train them. And so on this first season of this show, we see these 4, new little students kind of learn their powers, get a grip on their powers, get the hang of their powers. Po getting used to, training these 4 new students the best way he can, helping out the best way he can, and really there's a lot of really good action here. There's a really good villain, actually. His real name is, I want to say, Shun Tao or Jun Dao or something like that. I want to say is his name. And he's actually a really good villain. He's a really powerful villain. He's a villain shrouded in mystery at first. We get to actually see the four constellations a couple times on here. This new team hits their, some roadblocks along the way. There's even some moments where things seem hopeless and lost. There's a part in the season where Po loses his master Chi. And really who we think at first is a good guy is actually a bad guy. And, and there's a lot that happens here. A lot of really good story, strong story, really good characters. James Hong, I think, is the only person who comes back for the movies to this show. We get to see more Panda Village in action. Heck, there's a part where there's a giant spider that's kind of a little interesting, a little unexpected, but kind of cool at the same time. We go to the spirit realm a couple of times. Po has some really difficult moments along the way. Some identity crisis. The four students definitely are unsure about themselves at times and how to, we actually get to meet a really cool character called Bunny Dharma, which, knew the four constellations, ends up having, made him kind of failed in the past, and he has doubts of, well, how can I help now? And he ends up playing an integral part in the, story as it goes along. And, there was a lot of really good action scenes. There was some good comedy, some really strong drama. The animation is absolutely beautiful. I think it looks totally amazing. There's a few small predictable moments here. There's a part early on in the season where you see two dragons fighting when I think Po is talking to Master Oogway. And for me, I was like, as the season went along, I'm like, I can see where, that was kind of like, a hint of what was to come in the future, right? And we get to see Po, actually becomes a dragon at one point and fights, the other Dragon Master, maybe even the original Dragon Master. So that's a really cool fight scene. And yeah, I really liked this show. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. Each episode is about 20-something minutes. It's got a cool little theme song. The four constellations were really cool new heroes. They had really amazing powers. Watching them get the hang of their powers, and really Po and the four constellations together are going on a similar journey where it's okay, we pretty much need to save China from this, dangerous, powerful threat who's been waiting 1,000 years to take over the world. And, it was fun to see them go on this quest together and, go through the hills and valleys along the way. Towards the end, there's some really interesting, twists that happen. And, how this season came to a close was, I think, really satisfying. It really was. There's an interesting little cliffhanger there towards the end where it's like, okay, that may be who they fight next. Now, being that this is Amazon Video, Amazon Prime, this isn't necessarily like Netflix as far as I've seen, because I've gotten to watch a few Amazon shows. DreamWorks Animation has done a few shows on there, and, where Netflix wants to be hurried, hey, there's a season 2, or hey, there's a season 3, I don't think Amazon Video necessarily does that, because when I watched Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, I still haven't seen, when season 2 coming. You left it open hey, there's going to be a season 2, but when? And this show is very similar. How it ends, like I said, it seems there'll probably be a season 2. Heck, I hope there'll be a season 2. But there's been nothing written in stone. Yes, there will be a season 2 yet. But I would say if you are a fan of the Kung Fu Panda movies like me, check this show out. The first season is 13 episodes. Like I said, it's a really cool, really fun, really great next chapter in the saga. And it's really cool to see, these four kids grow into Kung Fu masters pretty quickly, kind of like how Po had to. And Po, I think, get to be, the first time, hey, I have to be the Dragon Master and kind of, take on some students, right? I have to become teacher instead of student. So I think, I don't know if on Legends of Awesomeness he ever had to do that. I'm not sure. But I know on here he has to do that. And I think it's one of his first times doing that. So yeah, it's available on Amazon Prime now. And I would highly say check it out. You'll really enjoy it. I think kids will really like it. Fans of the movies will like it. And if you necessarily haven't, you don't have to see the films to see this, to understand what's happening, I wouldn't say. But I would say it wouldn't hurt at the same time. Like, watch at least Kung Fu Panda 3 and 1 and 2. Just, it wouldn't hurt. But I don't think it's a must. Like, if you haven't watched it, well, you're going to be lost. I don't think so. So, other than that, we're going to take ourselves another short little break, and we'll be back in a moment with more sci-fi news.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay, back for more sci-fi news. So, this last little tidbit was actually something that, honestly, I don't know if other fans thought this, but I almost thought it was a joke. I saw this thing on YouTube. I'm like, wait a minute. That can't be real, can it? They can't really be serious about that, can they? I mean, Pokemon is very, very popular, okay? It's had an insane amount of games. It's actually done a lot of animated films. The cartoon show, to my knowledge, is still on TV. It still is. I've met some of the cast. I've met the voice of Ash and Brock, and it's a very popular show. I mean, it's a show and a series and just, that has lasted a very long time. I think there's a lot of different books on it, comics, things like that. And it's a very popular series. I've watched one or two of the animated films, but that's the key word, one or two of them. I've played Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Heck, I played Pokken Tournament, demos of both of them at E3, for the, twice. So, in 1 year and another year. So I've played, the games. I know of the games, but I haven't really played, an actual game since, really Pokemon Gold and Silver. I just haven't, but when Pokemon Go came out, it was really, really popular for a long time. I've talked about it, before on other episodes, other podcasts, and, so anyways, jumping into what, this last topic is on YouTube this week, we got a really strange trailer. A trailer that, like I said, almost made you think, is this an early April Fool's joke? Or is this something they just happened to do? Because I can remember they did a trailer once of, looked like a Legend of Zelda live-action movie, right? And it was a joke. Now, it's true. It's a long ways from April Fool's. But even they had, I want to say around last year, they looked like we're going to do a Son of Crocodile Dundee or a Son of Dundee. It was a joke. It was just a trailer to go check out Australia. So I really thought, I don't know if other people thought this, but I really thought this can't be real. This has got to be a joke. So what I'm going to talk about is we got a first trailer for a movie called Pokemon Detective Pikachu. That's right. It is a live action movie. It's a brand new trainer. I don't believe it's Ash or Brock or Misty or any of those trainers. It's someone brand new. It's live action, and one of the weirdest things about this trailer that really made me just question its honesty is Ryan Reynolds is in this movie, and take a wild guess who he plays. Because I wouldn't have guessed this in 1,000 frickin' years until seeing the trailer myself. Is he actually voices Pikachu? That's right. That's Ryan Reynolds is doing a lot of things right now. He's doing Once Upon a Deadpool. He's doing a remake of Clue. He's doing a new movie called Stoned Alone, which is supposed to be like another part of the. I think I don't know if it's a comedy or another part of the Home Alone trilogy. So he's doing a lot of interesting things, but I think this one really takes the cake. It just does. So the basic premise of this movie is there's Pokemon everywhere, and this guy wants to be a Pokemon trainer. This kid, probably a teenager is more correct, wants to be a Pokemon trainer, and he stumbles upon Pikachu, but he can actually hear Pikachu talk. Hence Ryan Reynolds. When he talks to Pikachu or Pikachu talks to him, you hear Ryan Reynolds' voice. Now anybody else, for whatever reason, just hear, the Pika. That's all they hear. And that's a different voice, by the way. That's not Ryan Reynolds. So it's basically a film, where it's like he's getting ready to be a Pokemon master or wants to be a Pokemon master. We see like Jigglypuff in this. We see Charizard. Who else do we see? We see a couple Pokemon in the live, action, area. There's a lot of action in this. There's some fight scenes. I don't even know if we see a villain in this, but maybe. I'm not sure. But anyways, so yeah, and I looked, this movie has a Wikipedia page, and I think it's on other social medias, and as far as I can tell, this isn't a joke. This movie's really happening. And gee, where do I stand on this film? Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the more peculiar films I've probably heard of in a while. And I've heard of some peculiar ones, and I've seen some really peculiar ones that I just have. But this film, I remember when I saw the trailer, I was like, whoa, that's, that's really, And I don't know. It's just I don't know if this is a good idea. Universal Pictures is doing this film. Now, mind you, they've done some, films before. They have, they've had a history, but, and like I said, we've gotten a lot of, different, animated Pokemon films over the years, but we haven't really had a live action one before. And I think there might be a reason for that. So, yeah, this is definitely one of, a trailer that seems interesting. I'm intrigued with Ryan Reynolds in it because usually it seems like he knows what he's doing. I mean, we'll let Hitman's Bodyguard go to the side. That was terrible, but I don't know if we can blame him or anyone really in that movie for that. But most of the time, Ryan Reynolds does a good job with stuff. He does. So I have some, belief that this film might be good just because he's in it, but I don't know. I really don't. I'm just like, man, this, I think really, here's where I really stand with this film. Let's get real here. This is one of those films where I think it's going to either be really good or it's going to blow up into just a gargantuan fireball. I think that's really where it stands. I don't think there's any middle of the road. It's just going to be that way. It's going to be like, hey, it's going to be a real great success, and we're going to see a lot of live action films after this. Or this movie's going to bomb and bomb really, really hard like some previous video game movies have. And it's going to get swept under the rug like it never happened. Like it has with Super Mario Brothers, although that does have a cult following now. The House of the Dead movies, some of the later Resident Evil movies, some of the Silent Hill movies. I mean, there's been a lot of movies, that they've done based on even a good recent example. Assassin's Creed. That's an example of, just sweep that under the rug and forget it ever happened. And I hope I'm wrong. I do, because you know what? Like I said, I still enjoy Pokemon. I do. I don't hate Pokemon. I think that I can see where, its popularity is still there. It's still strong, but I think this film is being made on the wave of that popularity, and I think there is a really good reason why we haven't seen a live-action Pokemon movie yet. I think there's a reason why, and even though the story doesn't seem that bad, where I guess Pikachu is helping this guy find his father, there's some mystery around his father. Detective Pikachu was a game that came out not that long ago, and I wasn't that impressed. I'm like, oh boy, Pikachu's wearing a little detective outfit, but I'm just like, I don't really care about that game. So I think of all the Pokemon, games you could do a movie on, doing one on that one, I don't know if that's a good idea. So, yeah, I think this film actually comes out next year. I don't know if it has a set-in-stone release date yet, but, yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, I would say check it out. It is on YouTube, and... yeah, like, I don't know, like, it's definitely one of the more interesting trailers you'll probably see on YouTube in a while. That's just really, I think that's just the truth. So, that is all the time we have for this episode. I hope you had a lot of fun listening to it. And other than that, have yourself a great, wonderful rest of the day, and we'll be back real soon with more sci-fi news.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.